So this is episode 2 of Paul and Andy's podcast. My name's Paul Leather and
my name's Andy Breer.
And that's got that cleared up. So why are we doing this podcast? Well, we're two men of a certain age.
We are.
And we've got certain things that we want to say. We have no idea where this is going.
No.
Or when it's going.
No.
But we're still persisting with it, despite drills outside. We're not in a studio. It might become apparent that we should be in the studio when the workmen start up again with their grinding. But so far, so good. So we're in a lounge in Kingsbridge and we're going to chew the fat for about 25 minutes. But first of all, we're going to start off our podcast by getting things off our chests. And I've got a rant that I've been sort of brewing for, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 years. I'd like to talk about that. And I know you've got something you'd like to talk about too. And then when we both get bored, or neither of us get bored, we'll ring the bell. And we'll change subject and we'll talk about something a bit more meaty.
Okay.
So, let me get this off my chest. If you have been driving around in the appalling weather, across the appalling roads, the potholes and everything like that, I'm not going to go down the pothole hole at the moment. But what I don't understand is if perfectly sensible human beings are told that they can drive a car or van or motor vehicle and it is pouring with rain and you cannot see your nose in front of your face because of the drizzle or the greyness, why don't they put their blooming lights on?
True.
Why is it not illegal? Or is it illegal?
I don't know.
Why do they get in their car, slam their door, put the ignition in, the little light comes on, fasten your seatbelt? Why do they not think, should I put my lights on?
Maybe they're in an electric car and they're trying to save their range by not putting their lights on.
No, this is not restricted to Teslas or people that are driving hybrids. This is people, usually, I haven't noticed, usually they're grey cars, so that they completely blend in. I've heard some people say, well, I can see perfectly well, I don't need to. If you've got perfectly good eyesight, you don't need to put your lights on. Missing the point entirely that we can't see them.
Exactly, that's the point. And I think you've just hit the nail on the head about driving, is that people drive for themselves. And to drive in this country on the roads, you've got to drive for other people as well. Because we're all in this together and we're all using the same bit of road and we've got to be kinder to each other whilst we're driving.
Do you think it's the fact that we're not kind to each other then?
I think we're just too self-absorbed. And it's my journey. I need to get from A to B, and this time I've got to meet this person at this time, and I'm going to get there, whatever. And I think sometimes we just get a bit selfish about our driving and about our reason for being on the road.
Yes, I think you may have a point there, Mr. Breer. But what I don't understand is why motor manufacturers have been allowed in recent years to have lights that come on at the front, so-called driving lights, but nothing on at the back. Now, who had that bright idea and who passed it?
No idea. You'd have to talk to the vehicle manufacturers, but I never really thought about that.
Yeah, they've got these little lights come on, so they think they've got lights that are perfectly visible, but at the back, coming up behind them, grey car, you could go straight in the back of them.
Talking about lights, I don't know about you, but I'm just not a fan of the new electric vehicle from the outside, during the dark, they look like some sort of nightclub. They've got these strips of light around the front of their bonnets and lights everywhere. And it's just, it's a bit sort of over the top, really.
What do you think about electric vehicles?
Not a fan. I don't see how it's going to work.
Well, it is working.
Is it?
Well, they're selling lots of them.
Well, are they? I read that Hertz Car Hire in America have just ditched their entire electric vehicle fleet because nobody was hiring them. They all want petrol or gas oil cars because that's what people are used to.
Well, see, the way I look at it is, if electric vehicles have been invented first, and we've gone, electric vehicles, just have to plug them in and go, it's lovely. We've got a great idea. You can have a motor installed in these vehicles, which means that you never run out of charge. You have to feed them with petrol, but you can go for miles and miles and miles. Wouldn't everyone have gone, wow, that's amazing?
I think electric vehicles are designed really very much with the way we used to live in mind. Because if you've got a house with a garage and your own driveway, it must be wonderful. But if you live in a terrace house with on-street parking, you haven't got a garage, how the heck can you charge your car at home without an extension lead from your front door or window going across the pavement, i.e. a trip hazard for other people? Or what about if you live in a block of flats? And the new housing, isn't it? The new housing that's coming along at the moment is all about apartments. It's all about flats, because that's the best return on investment for house builders. Get as much square footage in as you can. But where does that leave electric cars? Because people are still going to need to be able to drive. So that's the sticking point.
Well, you sort of hijacked my rant, really, because my rant was really... No, not at all. It's quite nice to get it off our chest.
I was just trying to calm you down.
You can't. I shout at people as I'm driving, put your lights on. Drives my wife mad. It's like, let them do it. But I think, you see, they're putting other people's life at risk. Because if you're a pedestrian or cyclist or someone with a horse or something, and you can't see this person coming, it could be very, very... grave, couldn't it? Yeah. Anyway, that's my rant over. What did you want to rant about this week?
I wanted, well, it's a similar topic, really. You were talking about cars and lights. I want to talk about trains, because I used to love travelling by train in this country. When I was a boy, I used to catch the train to school up in Yorkshire every day, there and back. And I used to...
That's a long trip from Plymouth.
No. I was living in Yorkshire,
I see.
and it was the easiest way to get. You could go on the bus as well, but the train was easier and more direct. And I used to look forward to that journey every day. And me and my friends used to catch the train and catch the train home again, and it was just wonderful. And this was 40 odd years ago, and things have just gone backwards. And now, whenever I've got to undertake a train journey, it is with fear and trepidation about what is possibly going to go wrong, because something invariably does on every journey. And I was catching the train to go and see my parents, who still live in the house that I was brought up in Yorkshire, from Plymouth, and it's a 6-hour journey on the train. And going up there, it was fine, but it was the last day of half term, and so the train was very, very busy. No problem there, because obviously, who would expect the train to be busy on the last day of half term? Why don't they make the train a bit bigger? But coming back from Yorkshire to Plymouth, everything was going so well and bang on time, and I was thinking, this is too good to be true, until 5 minutes outside Exeter, and there was a tannoy announcement saying, ladies and gentlemen, this train will be terminating at Exeter due to flooding on the line between Newton Abbot and Totnes. And I thought, well, fair enough. So I got off the train and had to wait for the next train that was due to go to Plymouth an hour later, and which crawled along the line between Exeter and Plymouth, and then stopped between Newton Abbot and Totnes. And it's been stopped for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and then this tannoy announcement came over. This tannoy announcement came over, saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that we appreciate and apologise for the fact we've been sitting here stationary for the last 20 minutes. But the reason why we're staying here is because we're only using one line due to the flooding, and we're currently waiting for a pilot worker to join the train."
What's a pilot worker?
Well, that's what I thought. I thought, how deep is this water? But yes, so apparently a pilot worker had to come and join the driver on the train to lead him through the floodwater on the line.
Like a tug.
Yeah, basically.
Bringing a big ship into dock.
But it was a new one on me. I'd never heard that before. But yeah, I just worry about the whole train system in this country is appalling, really.
But is it? Because the system's actually, it could be potentially good, isn't it? There's more rolling stock, there's more staff. Staff are getting well paid now.
There's no organisation. It just seems to be, I don't know, a bit sort of slapdash and haphazard, and nobody seems to care. That's the thing. And you know, I was okay. I was going on a nice trip seeing my mum and dad. It didn't matter if I was late, all that sort of stuff. What I do worry about are people who've got job interviews or they've got a deadline to be somewhere at a certain time. because they're really chancing it by relying on the service. So yeah, trains, and they come up with some great excuses. And all, if I was standing on Exeter platform for a good hour, and I lost count of the number of apologies that came over the tannoy for one thing or another.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, but
at least they're apologising.
Yeah, I know, but why not do it properly in the first place?
So
you
don't
wouldn't
have
to apologise.
I've got to ask you a question. When you get to Yorkshire and
Yes.
you see your dear mum and dad
Yeah.
are in their 80s,
Yes.
and you're sitting around for a meal time, and you've got your, I don't know, what do you have up there? Do you have butties or what do you have?
Yeah, I have butties. I have chip butties.
Does your dad say to you when you're moaning about the trains that you've just been doing, "Aye, lad, but when I were a lad, there were 14 trains in the whole of the universe and nobody ever got anywhere on top"? Does he say that?
Yeah, he does, because my dad's quite a train aficionado and was a train spotter in his youth, and is a big fan of steam trains. But I just think the infrastructure, we're still relying on Victorian infrastructure in this country for our trains, really. Let's not even get started on the Dawlish line. And it's just years and years and years of lack of investment, really. And it's a shame, because we could have a world-beating rail service in this country.
I've got an idea who could run this Victorian rail service.
Who's that?
His name's William Rees-Mogg.
What, in a top hat?
Right, we'll have a quick break, and then after the break we're going to talk about boredom, because probably all the listeners that we had have gone off being utterly bored with two old guys going on about driving and about trains. So we'll have a bit of a break, and then we'll talk about boredom and why we get bored. Welcome back to Paul and Andy's podcast. You're listening to a broadcast from the heart of Kingsbridge, where you'll hear the church clock chiming, you'll hear the workman going past blaspheming, but it is real, and because he's cut his finger off with that angle grinder probably. Now, we were having a rant earlier about trains and about some cars and about people not putting their lights on, and I have to admit, did think this is getting a bit boring.
Sorry.
But you and I were talking, it's equally my fault. You and I were talking about the fact that we have low boredom thresholds, and you said, I've got a low boredom threshold as well. Now, I can't decide if it's a good thing we should have a badge or a T-shirt, or whether it's a bad thing we should have a wristband saying, in case of lack of attention, please phone this number. What's it all down to? What do you put it down to?
Or a T-shirt saying "bored easily, danger."
Yeah.
I don't know, and it's a really odd one, because I've always been like this. As a child, I was like this. I used to lose interest in things very, very quickly. So if I was reading a book, I'd be sort of, rather than enjoying the book, I'd want the book to finish.
And you want the book to finish?
Well, yeah, I want to get to
You'd
the
want to
end.
get on to the next book?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you want to get on to the next thing, whatever it was.
Right.
And I don't know where that comes from, whether that's just a restlessness, or whether it's, a sort of inability to stay in the moment for very long. Or I want to change this, always wanting to change something, never being sort of satisfied. So I don't know. Is
it tied in with the grass is always greener syndrome, that things are always better further on, or what's coming next is more interesting than what you're doing now then?
I don't know. I've no idea, but it's certainly a running theme throughout my life, just getting, bored. It's things like watching a film. I tune out of it quite easily, unless it has to be very, very good to hold my attention. And that's why going to the cinema is good for me, because you have to watch the film. There's nothing else to do.
Eat popcorn?
No, I don't. I'm not a big fan of doing that. But it's getting bored, and there's no excuse for it. But I think getting bored is a very, very useful thing, because it teaches you to do things to stop the boredom. Do you see what I mean? So I think these days, especially younger people, children, haven't experienced boredom, because their parents or the parents around them are so tuned to keeping them entertained or doing something with them or whatever.
Do you think? I'm not sure you're right about that, because I think
Okay.
that these days parents, well, let's not just slam all the parents, but some parents or people responsible for young people take the easy option. They know they have smartphones.
Yeah.
They know they can access games, the internet, whatever. And therefore, how many times do you hear people talking about families going out for a meal in a restaurant? They're all sitting around there with their phones out.
Yeah.
You know, I look around the lounge sometimes here, and I see my wife on her phone. I see my daughter on her phone, and I think, well, I might as well get on my phone myself. I research what cupboards to get for the spare room. You know, it's a compulsion that boredom is something we're not allowed to have anymore, because it's every moment is filled with the possibilities of the internet.
Yeah, so maybe kids aren't getting bored because they can't be bored. There's too much stimulation around.
Yeah.
They've always got a phone or a tablet, or there's always something on the TV. You know, when I was a kid, I used to dread Sundays because all the shops were closed. There was nothing on the TV. We didn't have the internet. There was really nothing to do unless you made something happen. So you'd read
what
a
did
book.
you do then?
Read a book.
Play
or
Scrabble?
Play the piano. You know, learn to play the guitar a little bit. Used to play football, go out and play with my friends.
So did you used to sit down at the piano, open the lid, put some music up and go, I'm going to play that piece of Chopin now? Or did you just sit there bored at the piano, tinkering away? Or how did you
A bit
approach
of
it?
both. I mean, it was basically doing piano practice,
Right.
like doing my scales and all that sort of stuff, because I was going through my grades.
What grade did you get?
Oh gosh, I think I got up to 4, I think.
Did you?
Not brilliant, but again, I got bored with playing the piano.
Well, I
so
can relate
didn't-
to you.
I didn't finish, you know, I just got bored with it.
I got up to 5 on the
well
piano.
done, brilliant.
And in theory, I got
Yeah.
up to 5, and in French horn, as it happens.
Oh, well
So great
done.
fun. But I never got any further than that. Why?
Because you
I was
got bored. Yeah.
And I would be playing, and I'm not boasting about this, I would be playing something, a bit of Bach, which I love. You
Yeah.
know, who's not to like that wonderful mathematical music? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'd mishit the notes, and I'd hit a diminished chord. And
Yeah.
I'd go, oh, that sounds funky.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds a bit kind of, I don't know, jazzy.
Yeah.
And I'd be extemporising around that, and the Bach would just be gone because I was bored with it.
Yeah.
You see, I wish that I could apply myself more, and I look around at what so-called successful people, and they seem to have applied themselves to being wonderful radio or TV producers or wonderful writers, or they've applied themselves. I think if you get bored, like we've all started writing books, haven't we?
Yeah.
It was a long, dark, dusty road, and
Yeah,
you felt
yeah.
you get as far as you might get chapter 1 written down.
If you're
I think,
lucky.
I don't know where I'm going with this at all.
No, but that's just one of those things in life that I think a lot of people suffer from, and they don't know what to do with. You get bored quite easily, or you get bored doing the same thing. And, you know, I mean, that's why marriages fail. You know, that's why people, you know, decide to, I don't know, suddenly change careers because they just get bored and I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and boredom, I think, is going to become either renamed because boredom won't actually describe the condition, or it's going to be sort of information fatigue or something like that.
Well, I think we get that.
Yeah.
I think if I filled in one DBS form to work
Oh,
with young people
yeah, me
once
too.
in the last month, I've filled 3 different ones in,
Yeah.
and you can't help thinking, hang on a minute, this should be a rant, shouldn't it? I'll
Yeah.
save it for next time. I can't help thinking, surely we can all talk with each other
Yes.
and work out that this man is okay to work with young,
Yes.
vulnerable people.
Yeah.
But each time I have to go through all these hoops and have to be interviewed, show all my bits and pieces,
Yeah.
my mum's maiden name, her father's inside leg measurement. And I know we're trying to protect people, I'm all for that, of course I am. But we seem to, it is information overload. And what do we do with this information anyway? Where does it go?
I don't know. Again, I seem to be saying I don't know a lot in this podcast because I really don't know, and I'm just telling the truth. And another thing about the DBS thing, while I'm on a rant as well, is the DBS check is only as good as when it was checked, right?
Absolutely.
And the certificate's valid for, what, a year?
Yeah.
So it's meaningless. So
But-
why isn't a system where the DBS check is live, once you register, anything against your name of a criminal nature, illegal or whatever, goes straight to the DBS and it's on your live DBS thing. And then you wouldn't have to do that because people could just check your DBS status like your MOT status.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I'll tell you a quick funny story. Helen, my wife, was working in a primary school, and of course primary school, they put on fetes and fairs, and come Christmas time, she's responsible for HR and overseeing staff things, you know. Come Christmas time, they're going to have the Christmas grotto, and is Bernard going to be Father Christmas again? Oh yes, he's done it for every year for the last about 18, 19 years. Has he been DBS checked? Well, he's done it. He's done it for 18. He's the granddad of so and so and so. Yeah, but has he had? We're talking about a man getting little children to sit on his knee in the dark grotto and tell them what they were really like. They haven't been DBS checked, so there's all these obvious people that haven't been, and then, you know, anyway, we should park that because otherwise we'll get letters, people saying you have no idea, and you know the bad things happen. And I do, I really do understand that. And you were alluding to information overload, and that's how we got on to talking about it. I am a fan, and my wife would certainly laugh her head off completely, that loves brevity. I love, and by brevity, if anyone who's listening doesn't know, it's being brief about things and concise. Am I right? Is that what it means?
Succinct.
Brevity. Succinct, yeah. I like succinct communications.
Me too.
I don't like people rambling on, telling me things with huge preambles. And I'm probably guilty of it. I know I am, because I'm verbose, or garrulous, or loquacious, or maybe I'm all those three things.
Easy for you to say.
Well, I'm not. Well, I mean, do you agree? Do you think we've got far too verbose in this country?
Yeah, I do. I think we use words and vocabulary completely inappropriately for a start. The number of times I hear the word amazing when young people are being interviewed on the television, that's not a true use of the word. Amazing is something quite amazing, but they'll say, "Oh, I went there and it was amazing."
So there's nowhere to go with it.
No.
After amazing, what do you top that with?
And what did we use before we said hello, you guys? The word "guys." What did we use before that? Because that wasn't a thing when I was growing up.
Just to remind you that you're listening to Paul and Andy's podcast, two old gits sitting in a lounge in Kingsbridge, bemoaning just about everything. If you're still there, we're going to continue now, just talking about brevity and the use of words, because it's a particular thing for both of us. I know it is. I've noticed the latest idiom.
What's
is
that?
That's great. Are you going to be there? Yeah, 100%. 100%. 100% is the latest. Yeah. Do you like that? Oh yeah, 100%. Is he coming? Yeah, 100%. That is, you watch that, it'll be like a little bell ringing, and you'll go, oh no, I wish I hadn't heard it. Once you've heard it, you can't unhear it. Yeah.
There's another one that's doing the rounds that I don't like, and it's somebody saying something like, so everybody likes cheese, right?
Oh, they say right
at the end, as if it's the sort of affirmation request, and as if to persuade you that they're speaking the truth, rather than trying to hoodwink you into something.
So, something's grown out of that. It's called, are they actually? I'll say to my daughter, so and so is coming round. And, are they actually?
Are they actually?
Yes, they're actually coming round. They're not figuratively coming round.
Right.
They're actually coming round. It's another one of those.
Which isn't bad, though, in a virtual world that we live in. Actually is quite precise, if you think about it. Are they actually coming round, or are they joining us on Zoom?
Does it matter? Does any of this nonsense that you're spouting, Andy Breer, does it matter? Because we can still understand each other. I can still understand young people, my daughters. I can still speak their language. Does it matter that are we being pernickety?
Well, I'm not being pernickety, because it's about using language appropriately and using the right words. For example, a lot of young people now, I'm excited for Tuesday, and I'm thinking, no, I'm excited about Tuesday. Yeah. You're not excited for something, and that's really, really common, and it irks me every time I hear it, because it's not correct.
I agree with you. I'm ashamed to say that I get irked at church, because at church they say, in the church I go to, stand unto your feet, Stand unto my feet.
No.
Do you mean stand up?
Yes.
Stand unto your feet, or stand to your feet.
Mm.
I'm not used to that. That's one that's crept in by the back door near the font.
Yeah, we seem to have found a very good long way of saying very short things in this country in English, don't you?
Yeah, I was just thinking this has been a podcast saying things in a very long way about short things as well.
100%.